Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining my team and I as we aim to discuss genetically engineered crops, commonly known as GCs, its benefits, health and biodiversity concerns, and finally the ethics. Humans first began growing and cultivating edible grains, fruits, and roots, and correlating wild animals for meat, milk, and material goods thousands of years ago. Ever since, we've been shaping these plants and animals to meet our needs and desires. Now, humanity faces a new and daunting set of challenges with agriculture at its core. We have to feed an ever-growing population, but farmers and their crops struggle to adapt to warmer temperatures and altered weather patterns. To meet these challenges, we must employ all the technological tools at our disposal. Genetically modified organisms and GECs have been designed to modify DNA in order to generate specific valuable traits rather than waiting for them to be delivered by the random winds of mutation. Now, to quickly define some key terms, according to the United Nations Cartagena Protocol on Biosafety, a plant is genetically modified if it meets two requirements. The plant contains a novel combination of genetic material, which was introduced using biotechnology. Genetically engineered plants refer to when a foreign gene carrying a beneficial characteristic is introduced into the plant's genome. Transgenic modification refers to when foreign genes from an unrelated organism are introduced into the recipient. Cisgenic, however, is when genes from another species are not involved in genetic modification. Next, I'll pass on to Kam Song, who will talk more about the benefits.
Thanks, Sharmak. GEC has been proven to improve nutrient content in traditional crops and made them persistent, thus improving yields. Goldenrod is a good example of GEC that developed in response to vitamin A deficiency in developing countries, where rice is the main staple diet. In order to improve the vitamin A in goldenrod, gene that is in charge of biosynthetic pathway for beta-carotene, a precursor of vitamin A, were introduced into rice genome. Did you know that around 250 million kids are affected by vitamin A deficiency, leading to blindness, weakened immune system, and even death in some severe cases? The enriched crop could help reduce up to 2 million children's deaths yearly. Traditionally, pesticide spray were used to combat pests, which could be harmful to human and animal. Technology advancement have allowed gene editing by injecting Bacillus thuringiensis, BT, a soil bacterium that produces toxin which is deadly to some insects, into the crop's DNA instead of using conventional pesticide. For example, BT corn have been altered with BT genome, allowed them to produce its own insecticide. Based on research by Indian Academy of Science, around a quarter of global crop production was lost each year due to insects. Next, I will hand over to Angela to talk about health and safety concerns regarding GEC.
Although through research no harm has come to humans in eating BT engineered crops, as our body can break down the protein toxic to insects. Many still fear the overuse of GE comes with more than just consequences on health. For example, most bananas available in the supermarkets, the Cavendish banana, resulted from genetic engineering. Initially, the Gros Michel were the most consumed, but thanks to the Panama disease, they are now extinct. Due to being resistant to the disease, the Cavendish are sterile and can only propagate by cloning. Although high-yielding, they lack genetic diversity and are expensive and difficult to breed. The same disease now evolved forces the Cavendish to experience the same fate as the Gros Michels. However, there are varieties of inedible bananas resistant to the TR4. Researchers from the Queensland University of Technology have isolated and identified that gene. From resistant wild bananas, they have engineered the Cavendish to develop the same transgenic resistant genes. Despite the benefits, many are still concerned with the risks associated with genetic engineering, such as the plant developing specific antibiotic resistance, causing the disease to re-emerge stronger. Many also worry about the continuous ingestion of pesticide encapsulated in the crops, or injecting foreign DNA genomes into the crops. Proven safe now, the long-term effects are unknown. Many countries have banned genetic engineering on crops due to this reason alone. What impacts will it have on our body later, and can we control the environment? There are also ethical concerns raised about GEs. Imogen will be touching on this.
Rather than looking at whether we can do something, ethics is a question of whether or not we should. There's always been criticism surrounding GE crops, not just due to health concerns, but also due to the idea of having too much power over the natural world. In religion especially, the topic of GE crops can be considered taboo and considered playing God. Others argue that we have done essentially the same thing for centuries through selective breeding. Religious beliefs are not the only thing standing in the way of GE crops. It's an issue when privately owned companies start producing these crops. Patents are used to protect the company's intellectual property, which is good for the company, but when it comes to farmers, it can be quite difficult to keep up with payments. A study in 2018 done by 4 Italian researchers shows that farmers who choose to use these modified crops, specifically GE maize, have a yield increase of 5.6 to 24.5%. However, seeds from these crops may migrate and interbreed. This often results in the crops being discarded to avoid legal trouble, which raises a concern. Is it ethical to produce these patented crops when they can have such a negative impact on farmers? On the other hand, where food is scarce and people are generally poor, government-owned crops distributed freely can be the solution to famine. In the case of golden rice crops in Bangladesh and the Philippines, this food became a staple, saving many people's lives by combating vitamin A deficiency and starvation. Within the expansive topic of GE crops, it has been shown that there are many negatives and positives. We should ask ourselves if the benefits of this technology outweigh any possible drawbacks, and could this be the future of agriculture? Thank you.